Welcome to the Thriving Mayor Show, the weekly broadcast featuring former and current mayors who are thriving, sharing their story, insight, wisdom, and viewpoint. Join us and comment on social media as we meet another of the superheroes we elect to lead the rejuvenation of our towns and cities and who serve us all. Visit www.thrivingmayor.com to learn more. Here we go. Good morning, everyone. It's Michael Hubicki, the host of the Thriving Mayor Show. It's March 17th, 2021. Happy St. Paddy's Day, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Fitzgerald, for reminding me of that it was St. Paddy's Day today as well. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Great, thank you. Just before we get going, I'd like to read a acknowledgement. We begin this episode by acknowledging that we are broadcasting on Aboriginal land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples from the beginning. As settlers, we're grateful for the opportunity to meet here, and we thank all the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. Long before today, there have been Aboriginal peoples who have been the stewards of this place. In particular, we acknowledge the traditional territory of the Anishinaabeg, Huron-Wendat, and Haudenosaunee, Ojibwe Chippewa peoples. This territory is covered by the Williams Treaty. Welcome, Sheila Fitzgerald, the mayor of Roddickton-Bide Arm in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for having me.
So where are you? This looks like quite an interesting, is this your office?
Well, kind of. I'm actually at the moose capital, self-acclaimed moose capital of the world here on the Great Northern Peninsula here in Newfoundland. And so behind me is our moose. We call him Mike the Moose. And so it's a beautiful building. So we've got one of the newest buildings actually here in this little tiny town. So that's where I decided it would be a nice creative place to do this interview.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, I had a chance to do a little bit of Google mapping around the community and notice that building, it really stands out. It's quite beautiful. Before we get into the interview, Sheila, I'm just going to read a little bit of a bio. So Sheila Fitzgerald was first elected in a by-election to the position of councillor on the Roddickton-Bide Arm Town Council in 2012, and then later elected mayor in 2013 and 2017. She is the first female ever to be elected mayor. Born and raised in Labrador City, Newfoundland and Labrador, Sheila was first introduced to Roddickton-Bide Arm in 1992. She became a permanent resident of the small town located on the northeast side of the Great Northern Peninsula in 1997 and earned both a bachelor's and master's degree of social work from St. Thomas University in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and Memorial University in St. John. Sheila is a board member of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, vice chair of the FCM Green Municipal Fund Council, and chair of the Great Northern Peninsula Joint Council. She has been president of the municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador since 2019. Wow, that is a very impressive bio, Sheila. That's congratulations and all that. And I understand that there's another imminent election in the works here.
Yes, actually, we're for all the listeners, we're actually in the middle of a pandemic marathon election. We are now on day 60 of a 28-day election.
Wow, day 60. And which election is that?
Is our provincial election. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to be the member of the House of Assembly here in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador.
Oh, wow. Well, good luck with that.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. And you said it's day 60 of a normal 28-day process. So what has been the extension from beyond the 28 days?
Well, normally, you run an election, you knock on doors and you do your thing and they have election day. Well, we end up having a pandemic outbreak right before 11 and a half hours before we were supposed to go to the polls.
Wow.
So we went from doing in-person voting to mail-in ballots. And so as you can appreciate, we didn't prepare for this. So it's taking a lot longer than we had anticipated.
Wow. And so was the outbreak localized, or was it kind of across the province?
No, actually, it happened in St. John's, which is located about 1,100 kilometers from here.
Yeah.
And it was the new variant got into the province, and it just spread like wildfire throughout Metro. So Just to err on
Oh,
the side of caution, we shut it down for the entire province of the
yeah.
in-person voting.
So when are you expecting to get the election results?
I'm hoping before Easter.
Right.
So there's been no definite date. Like I say, this is the first time for us down this road, and I would say probably for all of Canada.
Yeah.
So we're learning as we go.
Yeah, yeah. And it was easier and more economical to do mail-in versus digital or
I don't
electronic?
think I don't think we were prepared for digital or electronic. So I mean, we go with what you know, right? So we did the
Yeah.
old-fashioned snail mail. So you got your ballot mailed out to you, and then you filled out, put your X on it, and you put it back into the snail mail and send it back to St. John's again.
Yeah. Wow. Well, all the best with that.
Thanks.
An interesting fact on the Thriving Mayor show here is that Sheila is actually our second guest who has claim to fame around moose. And Mayor told me from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, recently reclaimed the world's tallest moose accolades. And Sheila, can you share a little bit with us why Roddickton-Bide Arm is the self-proclaimed moose capital of the world?
Well, back in the early 90s, we had 6 moose per square kilometer. So you literally couldn't go anywhere for your running into moose. So they issued more permits and, of course, brought down the moose population just to err on the side of caution and safety. But moose, we live amongst the moose. So it's not uncommon to get up and the moose is out eating your flowers in your garden, or you can't get out of your driveway. Like, they come into town, and it's not uncommon that, that you may go to the store and meet a moose on the way. So while the moose population has dropped, you'll still see a moose around here in these parts.
Yeah. I visited Newfoundland probably 6 years ago, and I was expecting a lot of moose when I got there, and I think I saw one, and it was maybe a kilometer off the side of the highway that runs across the rock. And but we had moose stew and moose burgers and moose soup, and yeah, it was really delicious. And I got as far west as Twillings Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're another 500-600 kilometers west of there, I guess.
Well, if you look at the island of Newfoundland, there's a peninsula that goes straight up close to Labrador. I'm up at the very tip of that peninsula.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because we are so far off the beaten path. I mean, Trans-Canada Highway being the main cow path, we're so far off of there that, like, our lifestyle and our traditions are still very traditional. So, I mean, we value family and community. We eat moose and rabbits and fish, and we pick berries, and there's still a lot of that is well maintained here. It's very cold. People burn wood. That's our primary source of heat. So we're still hunting and gathering for literally. So here it's March. It's definitely the most beautiful time of the year. It's skidooing weather. So you can jump on your skidoo right by your door and pretty much go anywhere. We're ice fishing. We're enjoying the outdoors. The weather's warmed up a bit. So this is a great time of year.
Yeah. And you're up I guess it's that arm that comes down south of Roddickton. Do they call that the Bide Arm?
Bide Arm is 11-12 kilometers, just probably east of here.
Okay.
We're an amalgamated town that happened quite some time ago. So we consider Bide Arm now just like another street. It's about 100 people live out there.
Okay.
And we have approximately 900 or approximately 800 here. So the population of this little tiny town is 999. Now, if I had said 1,000, you probably would have said, well, how many people did she say lives there? But I'm telling you, you won't forget this one. We were short by one when we did the last census, 999 people.
Wow, that's awesome. And so you're the mayor of both communities in the area around?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Amalgamated town.
Right. Your schooling your post-secondary school was in social work, and you've worked a lot in children's services and strengthening families and building community over the last 23 years. Can you share some of the experiences, what that's like in being kind of in a fairly remote, isolated area and obviously super strong community?
Well, rural social work is very different than living in the city, and some of the challenges that we have here look very different. And
Uh,
so, while there might be some, alcoholism and drug use and domestic and so on, it's not. I don't think it's to the same concentration that you would see in the city. You're never stuck without a plan when you live here. So everybody is related to everybody, and
oh
so
yeah.
when you get into hard times and say we got to come up with a plan, well, Aunt so and so or an aunt or pop or just around the gate down the meadow, you'll find this. You're never stuck. So, I mean, because of those strong traditional family values, we have been very fortunate that we can always figure out a solution locally so that our children and our families strive because of the community support. So when they say it takes a village to raise a child, this is the village, because we
Yeah.
are parenting each other's children. So if someone falls off their bike, guaranteed someone's going to stop the car and help this person, little one, out of the ditch. Or if this time of the year they're skipping pans, which is those pieces of sea ice that move, the kids get out there with a stick and start pushing themselves out on the pans. And
In the open water?
In open water. Well, I mean, the pans are all very close together. I mean, they've been doing
Okay.
it for years and years and years. So, I mean, it's not uncommon to stop the car and say, get in out of there. I'm calling your mother or your father. And you see them tallying over as fast as they get back to the beach. So we literally take care of each other here.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've got a couple of videos that I loaded up, which I think are a couple of the interesting key moments or memories that you'd like to share. The one of them is when the seals came to town. So can you set that up for us, and then, or maybe I'll just show the video first, and then you can tell us what happened. And I'm hoping there's a happy ending. But so I'll set this up.
Ocean are now stuck. Made
And
their
I just
way
need to
in
turn
from
this
the
off.
ocean.
Okay.
Are now stuck in Roddickton. NTV's Kellyanne Roberts reports the abundance of new neighbors has many there concerned.
It's not unusual for a seal or two to make its way into Roddickton, but more than a dozen seals have moved into the town.
Now what's happened is they came in with the high tide and the winds picked up, and now they're trapped because the ice formed behind them. So the ice is out, I'd say probably 4 to 5 miles long. So they're inside and are disoriented, so they don't know where to go.
At first, everyone was curious about the creatures, but now curiosity has turned to concern.
Very disheartening. I mean, nobody wants to see anything happen to any animals, and so to see these little seals that are stranded and helpless, the people are disheartened by everything that's happening.
Wow. So tell us the happy ending to that.
Well, I can tell you that was challenging times. I can honestly say that no other mayor in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador had to deal with the seals. So we were literally inundated with the seals. And the seals were up on people's patios. They were up on the steps of the school, going into the hospital. And it was a rare occurrence that never ever happened before. And so one morning we woke up and there must have been about 60 seals in town. And there was a little brook, and they were all hanging out at this little brook. And so this went on for probably almost a couple of weeks. We ended up having to call DFO, and DFO, I think first time ever, had to make slings for these seals. So they had like 2 sticks, and then they had a net, and then they would scoop up the back of the, roll the seal over into the back of the net, and they would drive out to Ingley, which is about 20 kilometers here, and drop them off.
Open water.
We had a taxi service for the seals. So talk about how important that is, the seals. It was a happy ending, but I'm telling you, it was an experience of a lifetime. I had gotten 42 requests for interviews, and those interviews ranged everywhere from Australia over to England, all over the States, all over Canada. I was talking about these seals. I was dreaming about them because I spent so much time dealing with the seals. So while there was a happy ending, it definitely was challenging times as a mayor because, the phone didn't stop, and everyone was saying, Sheila, I mean, as the mayor of a small town, they think that I'm the one that's in charge of doing everything. And they say, well, there's a seal up on my bridge. Can you come get it? So I'll make arrangements to get somebody to come get that seal for you. So it was definitely busy times, but I don't know if I'll ever experience anything like that again. But when the seals came to town, everybody knew right across the world.
Well, thank you for taking such a stewardship role and a sustainable ecological leadership role in that, and getting the seals moved out to safety. The second one that I think is really unique, and maybe only the one of two installations in Newfoundland and Labrador was your 2017 Canada 150 mosaic that your community did. And I'll just put a little image of it up here. And if you can just explain to us a little bit about that.
I think when I look back at my experience of being the mayor, and it's almost been 8 years now, I will say that this will be one of the most inspirational memories I will have in my time. We're a small town, like I said, 999. We have a very small tax base, so we don't. This is extras. We don't, I mean, for the most part, I mean, there's no sidewalks here. There's no fancy facilities here. We're trying to make $2 out of one to maintain essential basic services. So to have this mosaic, we did everything short of beg, borrow, and steal. Well, not literally, but I mean, we were doing all that we can to scrounge up the money for this mosaic. And this is part of a celebration. They have a mosaic that starts in BC, and the goal was that they were going to have 150 mosaics. They were creating a train, and you can see here the moose is standing on a rail bed, and that they would come right across Canada, and Newfoundland would pick up the tail. And so we were a long time saving up this money and trying to seek out funding for this mosaic. There's actually 900 tiles, over 900 tiles in this mosaic. There's only 999 people who live here, so we literally had to get everybody out to paint a tile. And what we had asked them, they said, what would you want the future to remember about Roddickton-Bide Arm? And what is important to us? So each one of these little tiles tells a story. And we had people from 8 months old to 80 years old paint these tiles. We went down to the senior home. We had the children come across the road to the arena because we had a little room upstairs. We had everything set up so that they could paint a tile. So no matter what happens in the future, this will be a snapshot in time. Like, this is a piece of us and all the people that lived here in 2017. And so while we might be a small town, I can guarantee you one thing: we're big on community cheer and spirit. And so we threw a big party. Everybody showed up with their red and white and their Canada Day celebrations, and we had free hot dogs and drinks and treats for everybody. And so this was definitely a very proud moment. So we have it, actually, I'm here in our museum, and we have a very special place for the mosaic. And so there's people that are traveling, when they come to the Rock, come all the way up here to see our beautiful mosaic, because it's just truly inspirational. When you stand up close, like I say, you see little pictures of what's important, but then when you stand back, this is the picture that you see. This is us. We have the moose, we have fishing, which is Bide Arm, is known because of the fishery out there. And Roddickton-Bide Arm was built based on the forestry. So you see the chunk of wood and the axe. So this replicates really who we are and what we stand for.
Wow. It's beautiful. And I'm going to put the link to the Canada 150 booklet. It's a beautiful book that was created. And I think there's still copies of it that are for sale. And it has the story of these murals and beautiful color photography of them right across the country. So congratulations on that. And one of only two in Newfoundland, Labrador.
Absolutely. So we've got one that's close to Torbay, which is really close to St. John's. And then we have one you have to travel all the way up here to get here. So when you get here, this is a special treat at the end of the line. Yeah. So we're very, very proud of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really, really awesome. Shifting gears a little bit, Sheila, we'll start to talk a little bit now about your political journey. Starting off on, I think you ran for council first, and tell us a little bit about that, why you got into wanting to run for council in that election, how that turned out for you.
Well, actually, I am the only Fitzgerald here in Roddickton-Bide Arm. So here in these parts, like, you got common names, like you got the Castles or the Comptons or the Reeds or the Filliers. And so I'm the only Fitzgerald. So I came to town originally from Labrador City. They're over, almost 30 years ago now. And I had children. And so because we don't have any fancy facilities, I mean, we have an arena, you skate 12 weeks in the winter, and we have a small outdoor swimming pool that allows in what used to be 30, now they got back to 25 children. So you have 8 weeks in the summer, 12 weeks in the winter, and that was it. And so at the time I had very small children. And so if there was going to be any recreational opportunities, I had to be a part of it. You know, volunteers is what makes up this community, is the heartbeat of this community. And so while being, on the recreation committee and doing everything from science camp to planting gardens, I said, maybe I should run for the council. Maybe I might be able to get more for the children if I ran for the council. And so there was a by-election, so I said, I throw my name in the ring. I was one of 5 people, and I was devastated. I didn't get elected. And I said, well, very good. and they don't know that I'm the best person to be on this council. So from that point forward, I started kissing the babies, hugging seniors, and petting all the dogs because I was running for the mayor.
And
So
feeding
for
the
2 years-
seals.
yes, and dealing with the seals. And so for 2 years, that's what I did. I went around and I told everyone, I said, if I run for the mayor, you vote for me, won't you? You'll vote for me. And lo and behold, I was the first elected female mayor because we have a separate race for the mayor. And so ever since then, it's just been so positive. But it was a bit of a journey to get here. But once I got here, the key was that I got involved with other people who knew more than I did, and very quickly learned what it meant to be the mayor in a small town.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a saying that I love. It's if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
and how true is that? Hey, and like being a mayor of a small town with a very small tax base, like being the mayor as a volunteer, I get a small stipend per year. Actually, when it all works out, I pay the government to let me be the mayor, and so I have a full-time job as a social worker, and I get paid $5,000 a year, and that gets taxed. So that amount actually pushes me over to the next tax bracket. I end up saying, I'll pay you to let me be the mayor. But I mean, the rewards has just been unbelievable. And just to know that you can help people and help your community and, just reach to improve the day-to-day quality of life, the rewards just far outweighs the money that you get. Yes, definitely.
So right after you lost that by-election for council, did you decide quickly, like pretty much right away, that you wanted to run for mayor, or did you take some time and talk to some people? And
I think though, for me, as all in, like either I'm committed or I'm not. And so, I probably spent a week or so licking my wounds saying, I can't believe you didn't see that I should be on council. And then from that point forward, I started coming out with my plan. And I think it just evolved into that. I said, one of those days I'm going to be the mayor. So what started off as a thought, one of those days I'm going to be the mayor, came out to saying, I think I should be the mayor. I can read, I can write, and I've got drive, and I can speak to the public. So I think I should do that. So that's what I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. And tell us about your election night. Was it a hotly contested mayoral campaign that year? Or?
It came down to just me and another person who was the deputy mayor at the time, very knowledgeable man and very well respected in this community and been on council for a long time. So that night, I didn't know which way it was going to go. And so normally in a small town, you don't knock on doors. You don't normally run it as a provincial election, but I went out and I bought signs. I had 5 signs that I put up in town.
5 signs.
And I had little buttons that vote for Sheila. And I had a pamphlet that I sent out. And I actually knocked on doors, and they said that was the first time they'd ever seen it here in this town on council. People are knocking on doors. I wanted it so bad.
Yeah.
So that night it worked out well. I won just barely, and we were able to work together, me and the person that also ran, which was really too bad because with a mayor's race, you lose good people because this other person was a really good person as well, and I don't know. Unfortunately, that person didn't come to council afterwards. So all their experience and knowledge and wisdom didn't come with us. But I tell you, it was a bumpy ride for me in the beginning. Not have sat to the table for very long, and now I was at the end of the table. And in this town, that was kind of a little bit unheard of because that's not a woman's place. A woman's place to the side of the table, not the end of the table at that time. Now they say, Sheila, like, go ahead, take your spot and let's get going, But in the beginning, it was a little bit of a different experience.
Now, were there any other women on council with you when you started?
Yeah, I think there was a couple at the time, so there's 3 of us. Now, now that we're in our second term, there's actually 4 of us. So our council is made up of 7 members, 6 councillors and the mayor. And so now, I mean, things have shifted, in such a short time. In 7.5 years, things have certainly shifted, and there's a spot for everyone's voice. I mean, we look for people that are young moms to seniors to people who work at the hospitals, some people who work with Department of Highways, driving the plow. Like, there's good reason that your council is made up of people from all different backgrounds because it just provides for good governance.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and congratulations, and that's very forward that to now be at the point where there's 4 women on a 7-person council is, congratulations for that. And obviously, moving from 3 to 4, you're providing some inspiration and some evidence, some proof to people in the community that women are welcome. We have our voice. We're being heard, and we're making a difference. And that's come and join us.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and good things have happened. I mean, as a council, we've done great things for this little tiny town.
Yeah.
While we still may not have sidewalks, we've got clean drinking water, potholes are filled in, and the lights are still on. So, that's as much as we could strive for right now. And then every now and then we have a great event like the Mosaic. We make all celebrations really big. We have a Christmas parade. I'll just give you an example of what it's like in a small town. We have a Christmas parade, and in the Christmas parade, people will do up the dumps of their truck and put up a tree, or maybe put a generator and have those inflatable things. And we give out first, second, and third prize. And there's no fancy floats like you would see in the city or on TV. And afterwards, we normally all go back to the arena. We have a little multi-purpose room there, and we have Santa, and we have milk and cookies with Santa, and we take pictures with Santa. And the kids are just glowing with excitement and appreciation. And the speech I give every year, like they've listened to me say the same thing for 7 years, is that to us, this is big, and our children will grow up and they'll do great things, and some of them will come back, most of them won't. But when they look back at their experience of living in this tiny town, they will appreciate the simple things in life, and that's what we have to offer. So whether it's Christmas or Halloween or Canada Day, I mean, we go all out. I mean, the whole town, everybody waits and buys hats and bells and whistles for
what was
these
that last one? Canada Day?
Canada Day. Oh, Canada Day.
Canada Day.
Canada Day. Yeah. Canada Day is a big thing here.
Yeah.
Everyone dresses up their bikes.
That's awesome. I thought you said Panda, but Canada Day. Yeah.
Canada Day.
So what happens, Sheila, around Easter when the provincial election results come in and you're the new provincial representative?
Fingers crossed that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I'm the successful candidate, but that means that I will have to vacate my seat. So this is election year. To me, it's a full election year. Our election would have happened in the fall for the council. Yeah. So, I mean, my goal is not to forget where I come from. Obviously, I'm here. If I get hired, I'm hired by the people to take care of the people. Yeah. And so hopefully I will be able to do bigger and better things sitting in that seat. And I mean, I'm so connected. I mean, locally here on the council, regionally here as the chair of the joint council, that would take care of the whole northern tip of the peninsula. Mm-hmm. Provincially, I'm on our provincial association as the president of municipalities, Newfoundland and Labrador, and then federally sitting at the FCM table. So if I could have gotten the results that I felt that our town needed and this part of the province needed, then I wouldn't need to make that step. My hope is that if I make that step, that I can bring home whatever I can get my hands on to better the quality of life for people up here. I mean, our concerns are probably no different than what it is in all rural Canada, in terms of healthcare and roads and all those basic essential services that we need. So while I may vacate my seat as mayor, I'm hoping that I can help my town and hope the entire region, that I could do more than what I'm doing now. So for me to take this step, I mean, it's not actually a promotion, because if you look at the salary for the mayor or from a social work job and my salary as an MHA, actually I take a bit of a pay cut. So unless you had that drive to want to make that kind of difference, then there would be no true motivation for wanting to do this. But I really hope that I get elected as next.
Yeah, me too. And the timing is really works out well as well. That it, when you win and you vacate the mayorship, there's another mayor coming along in the fall.
Yes,
it's not like there'll be a couple of years. Or would they have a by-election to fill the gap for the couple of months? Or
no, because at the time it's going to probably be too short. So underneath our Municipalities Act, we're able, if it's less than a year, to just leave the seat vacant. And what will happen is that the council will have to decide who's going to take that lead role and facilitate meetings and advocacy for the short time till the election. Yeah,
maybe they'll ask you to come in and moonlight.
And I'm certainly okay with that too.
Really, I hope everything goes according to plan and you're victorious. You certainly have such an amazing energy and commitment to the community. And further to that, Sheila, what would your vision be for not only Roddickton-Bide Arm and your provincial area, but kind of Newfoundland and Labrador in general, that you can make this difference at the provincial level?
mean, I'm a firm believer that we have everything we need right here on the rock and here in Labrador. I mean, this province can be so prosperous. I mean, we've got the forestry. And look at, like, since COVID, look at the price of lumber right now.
Oh,
so we've
yeah.
got the forestry, we've got the fishery. I mean, we're surrounded by water.
Yeah.
We've got minerals that are yet to be explored and developed and exported, you know. So with that being said, like, there is so much opportunity, and this province is beautiful. Now, if I'm going to sell anything, I'm going to try to sell the Great Northern Peninsula, because if you come to the Rock, you have to come visit me up here on the Northern Peninsula. Tourism up here is wonderful. Like, soon as you leave the Trans-Canada Highway and you start making your way up the peninsula, life looks different. The people are different. The dialect is different. Even the diet is a little bit different. So, I mean, we need to market on that. You know, we're not surrounded by trees or by cement and houses. We're surrounded by trees. Like, you have to come and experience it to really get full appreciation. So on a provincial level, like, we have so many assets. It's just a matter of, you know, trying to get our ducks in a row so that we can actually market on them and benefit on them. So I'm hoping by being a part of that table that we can start reducing some of the red tape and start pushing, you know, a little bit harder, so we can actually prosperous. Be prosperous.
Yeah, like, as I mentioned before, I'd been up to as far as Twillings Gate, starting in the east end at St. John, and then I'd love to make it over to the west, and when I get back to the Rock, that's definitely where I'll be focusing and heading up to Grossmorn, and obviously up to Roddickton-Bide Arm and Iceberg Alley.
Oh, absolutely. And the icebergs up here, you know, is just phenomenal to see. And there's so many icebergs. So, I mean, that's another really unique thing that we have to offer that you can't just find anywhere else. I mean, you're not finding that in central Canada. You got to come to the East Coast to see that. And so if anybody's going to come, you need to really come, like, May, June, July, a beautiful time of the year to come here.
Yeah, really beautiful. Really
and the
beautiful.
whales are here then too. So you get a chance to see that.
Yeah. When we were there, I think there was a small pilot whale, maybe, that was passing by, and they were really interesting. But we didn't see the humpbacks or any of the big whales, which would be really incredible. Well, Sheila, I want to thank you again so much for being a guest on the Thriving Mayor Show. It's wonderful to hear your journey as a mayor, a person that's moved from mainland out to the Rock, and obviously made such a huge and important difference. We love seeing Mike the Moose behind you as well. And I just again wanted to extend my appreciation to you for not only for being on the show, but for being such a wonderful and thriving mayor. And all the best in your provincial election.
Well, I certainly appreciate the opportunity. Thank you very much. But before I let you go, I got to show you our polar bear. We also have the privilege of having a polar bear here in our, there we go. There you go. So you have to come all the way to Roddickton-Bide Arm to meet Mike the Moose and our polar bear.
Is that Pete the polar bear?
Well, that would make sense, call him Pete the polar bear if we got Mike the Moose. Hey. Yeah. So it's a beautiful place. So thank you for having me on the show, and welcome to all. If you want to come visit me here on the Great Northern Peninsula, Roddickton-Bide Arm, moose capital of the world.
We definitely will. Thank you so much, Sheila.
Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining the Thriving Mayor Show. Make sure to like and share and tell your friends and colleagues. Mayors are awesome and are the change agents to enhance the quality of living for over 80% of us. Remember what Coach Wooden said, you cannot live a perfect day without doing something for someone who can never repay you. Much love and peace. Until next time.